What happened? You disappeared. You disappeared. Yeah, you also disappeared. I could not see you anymore. So I don't know what was happening. Good. Well, they say love is better second time around. So we tried to be lovely people yesterday. It was not good enough, so we have to do it again today. Last night, our conversation with Waseem Carrim, the CEO of the NYDA, was interrupted in the middle of the conversation. So we decided, in fairness, we have to conclude that conversation, but we're not going to start it from scratch with him, which also means you're not getting timber from scratch. What we're doing is that we're going to play you the tape to conclude that conversation. So please watch this tape, and then we'll reconnect with Waseem when the tape ends. Temba and Zotwa were at the therapist, and Zotwa said to the therapist, "My husband and I were happy for the first 20 years." And the therapist asked, "And then what happened?" "And then we met," said Zotwa. Good evening, and welcome to Talk with Rams. I hope you stay happy with me before and after we've met, unlike Temba and Zotwa, my favorite couple. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Talk with Rams. I always ask you to please subscribe to our what is that thing? YouTube channel, and then follow us on Instagram and Facebook. The last time I had this gentleman on the show, he had a Santa mood, dishing out some money to help small businesses or youth-owned businesses to survive. He comes back in a different mood. He now wants to identify young people who are trailblazers doing amazing stuff because it's Youth Month. It is Youth Month, and the National Youth Development Agency is trying to find those young people who are doing amazing stuff that needs recognition. They're running a campaign called Trailblazers 2020. Waseem Carrim, the CEO, is joining me tonight to dish out more great news. He's always a bearer of good news. Good evening, mate, and thank you for coming back.
Hey, Rams, it's great to be back. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, a few years ago, I wrote, I can't remember where, I think it was on the Mail and Guardian, and I said, we need a new narrative for the Youth Month. We can't always make it political. And yes, we need to recognize what happened in 1976. We can never forget it. But young people born in 2000 want a new narrative. And I'm so excited about this program that you guys came up about. Let's talk about that first. But first, I want us, maybe we start talk about the fact that Youth Month is a very important part for you, isn't it? I mean, for NYDA, this is your time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Youth Month is always important. I think, June 1976 evokes emotions in everybody, yeah, especially your generation, Rams.
Yeah. But thank you very much, mate. I'm like so flattered. Thank you.
It invokes a certain emotion in everybody because I think it meant so much in the struggle against apartheid. It was such a turning point. But the fact that young people were organized and collective in fighting an injustice, and I think it's globally recognized as such an important day. So I think every year it brings up a new level of sentiment and a new level of emotions. But I think this year, especially with the world and the continent, our country facing almost an invisible enemy. I think this is the year, probably one of the most important June 16th in our history. Because if at any time we needed to draw on the spirit of the generation of 1976, it would be now. It's now that we need to come together as a country. We need to come together as a people. And we need to know that the sacrifices we make now will result in a better future for South Africa.
Yeah. What I'm fascinated about with this Trailblazer program, and I wanted to introduce it now, for me, it's celebratory, and I like that. Yes, again, June 16, 1976 was gloomy. It created by the way, I also believe that it was a great stepping stone to where we are today. But to go to a point of the mood where we are always commemorating and feeling the bad happened, to celebrate her is so important to me. We gotta celebrate successes that young people are achieving today. So let's talk about the Trailblazer campaign.
Yes, I mean, we started this campaign in around 2018, and I mean, it's exactly what you say, is to say, we'll always recognize the heroes of 1976, yeah? But who are the heroes today in South Africa, the heroes and heroines out there? And they exist, right? They're in their communities. They're out there assisting the vulnerable and protecting food security and making a difference, And I think beyond just recognizing them, it's about this thing of, we always seem to talk about young people like, we need to assist them, like they don't have agency, But our young people do have agency, yeah. They're making a difference out there, They're writing their own stories, they're writing their own narratives. And I think it's important for organizations like the NYDA, for government at large, to recognize those young people, one, but to tell their stories, to the South African community, tell it to the world, both as a message of hope and to inspire a new generation of young people to rise up and be focused in how they come up with solutions.
So who are we looking for? What are these trailblazers this time that we're looking for? What should they be doing different that we should recognize and go pick them? I mean, I've got a few young people I can think about, including my own technical producer in the background.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for one, it's, a few years ago, there was this concept of social entrepreneurship. Yeah. And I think, a social entrepreneur is somebody who identifies a need in their community or a need in society, and they're able to fulfill it. So they're both able to use that entrepreneurial spirit to improve their own life, but also improve many other people's lives. I've read stories during COVID of young people putting together bicycle delivery groups, Ubers of townships, if you will. Yeah. I've read about young people who are coming together in their communities to tackle gender-based violence. Yeah. Who are focused on the greening of townships. I mean, a few years ago, there were young people who took waste and converted it into school bags, So those are the stories that are amazing in nature. Yeah, they're inspirational in nature. And it can be in any field. It can be in science and technology. It can be in entrepreneurship. It can be in academia. So it's a broad range of categories. Yeah. And we want those messages to be amplified of those young people, because it doesn't have to be sector specific. It doesn't have to be community specific. We just want to know who's rising up, ordinary young people doing extraordinary things.
And should it be COVID-19 related?
It would help if it was COVID-19 related, given that that's mostly what we talk about these days. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Yeah, it can be even a solution that was come up before COVID-19. I think, let's be honest, South Africa doesn't only face problems of COVID-19. Our problems of unemployment and poverty and inequality and many of our social ills, gender-based violence, HIV and AIDS.
Mhm. So that was yesterday's conversation that was rudely interrupted, but we had covered enough last night. So we thought, let's cover what we covered last night so that I don't repeat the conversation with Waseem, but we conclude it, not repeat. So to our Instagram viewers, I'm sorry that you didn't pick up the first half because the first half was replayed on Facebook. But the first half is what you got last night anyway, so you didn't lose out on anything today. So Waseem Carrim is back, the CEO of the NYDA. And good evening again, mate. Thank you very much for coming back generously.
Good evening, Rams. Thanks for working me on the weekend.
Me too, mate. I'm supposed to be doing some fun things now, not working, you know.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. We all know alcohol is available again.
and you see, because it only sells until Thursday, it means you must enjoy it from Friday. You see. But I'll tell you what. I mean, we truly covered what the Trailblazers campaign is about a lot yesterday. And what we're going to get into, and there are a few questions that I picked up yesterday from our viewers, and I'll get to them. We're going to get to how do then people nominate those amazing young people doing amazing work out there.
Yes, I mean it's pretty simple, right? The application forms are available on our website. It's www.nyda.gov.za. I'll just say it again: www.nyda.gov.za. And then, if you want as well, you can visit our social media pages on Facebook. You'll be able to pick up the application form there. You just drop it to an email address called trailblazers@nyda.gov.za. Trailblazers@nyda.gov.za. If you need any further information, you can call our call center 0800 52 52 52. They'll tell you everything you need. Yeah, or you can pop us a message on Facebook. You can email us on the website. Yeah, multiple ways to get in touch with the NYDA. Time is running out fast, though. I think today is the 5th of June. We close applications the 10th of June. So, yeah, you've got to be quick and fast. Be done by next week, Wednesday. Yeah.
Right. Yesterday, already people were asking that question, but somebody, and I'm trying to find a question. There was a question asked yesterday by one of our viewers, and there I got. He says, beyond COVID-19, life goes on. We need a functioning economy. What sectors are the focus for the NYDA? Is tourism funding on your horizon? Now, I know you don't fund that big, but are you looking at stuff like that? That was a question from Policy yesterday.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we've been thinking a lot about the economy through COVID-19 and after COVID-19, right? So I think for the last existing businesses up and running now and saving as many jobs as possible. Now it's how we look beyond COVID-19. Yeah. And I think we will be in a low touch economy and we will have to innovate. But I think there's a huge opportunity around localization in our economy. Yeah? I was never of the view that goods need to come 15,000 miles from China to be sold in South Africa just because they can be produced at a lower price. I think COVID-19 does interrupt the global supply chain. So I think there's huge opportunities in agriculture, for one, where we've been funding a lot already. About 12% of our funding goes to agriculture. I think the local tourism industry will start to pick up towards the second half of the year, closer to December. So, I mean, guest houses, B&Bs. But, I mean, you know, our oceans economy is untapped. You think of the beautiful coastlines in East London and Port Elizabeth. We really only exploited our coastlines in probably KZN and not even all of KZN and the Western Cape, you know. And we've got, I mean, the Wild Coast is probably one of the most beautiful coastlines in the world. There's so much opportunity in our oceans economy to rebuild our tourist industry. I think international travel will reduce significantly in the future. So I think tourism and agriculture are good industries to look at. I also think ICT will continue to be to be highly important in a new economy. But I also think retail and services won't necessarily die, but they'll need to pivot their business models, and it's not that difficult. Nowadays, you can set up an online page on Instagram, on Facebook, to sell your goods and services. If your product is good enough, people will buy it. Yeah. But I think, I do think COVID also gives us an opportunity. I mean, we've spoken now about the entrepreneurship side, where I think there's lots of opportunities. But I think it gives us an opportunity to reset our employment as well. For the longest time that I've known, South Africa has had the worst unemployment stats, in the world, and the worst youth unemployment rate in the world. And, we've been thinking a lot in the last few weeks about how we look at unemployment and how we value work. I'm sure you'll agree with me, Rams, to say there's no shortage of work in South Africa. There's lots of work that can be done for the common good. I just think of basic education, the after-school sports programs. Yeah, there's not much that's on offer there, and those are jobs that young people can do. Right, young people would be great sports coaches in schools. Yeah, so what we've been thinking about is a minimum employment guarantee for young people. That a young person who wants to work in South Africa, who has the energy to work, should be guaranteed a job by the state. Yeah, a job that pays them at least the minimum wage. Yeah, and giving young people the dignity associated with work will reduce many of our other social ills that we face in South Africa. Yeah, it will give young people mobility. It will put income into households, and I think it can change the trajectory of how we look at life, the way we value work, and it'll give a lot of our young people back the dignity that they deserve.
Excellent. I couldn't agree more. I wrote a paper many years ago, again, age giving itself away, that if nothing else, I mean, yes, a job gives you livelihood, a job can give you a roof over your head and can give you mobility, but most importantly, it gives you dignity. When we can rise up and go and do a job, whatever it brings in terms of money, it's secondary. What is important is that I've got dignity, that I can work for myself. So I like that thought. Tandile Gringo Mashalaba says, I know a young person here in Cape Town who started a township-focused food ordering delivery app called Orakasi. It's a really cool tool which works well during COVID, and it delivers food. So could these young people qualify to be nominated for the Trailblazers campaign?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. They should be. It sounds like an amazing business idea. But in addition, I'd advise them to put in an application for the 1,000 businesses in 100 days. Yeah, I'm sure they could do with a little bit more additional capital. Maybe they could hire 1 or 2 extra young people. I think that's right up our alley in terms of the businesses we'd like to fund. So I'm just going to pop you my email address on the chat, Rams. I'd love to get an email and hear more about the business. Yeah.
Super. In fact, there's one more I'll tell you about. I also got to learn about them because in my foundation, we're trying to help them to at least get some more PPEs. They're called cloud deliveries. They're also in the Western Cape, young men between the ages of 14 and 19 on bicycles delivering food during COVID. Amazing. I'm going to nominate them for the Trailblazers myself. And as you say, maybe we can also look at. Let's get to another question that has been raised by Benny Mafaiza on Instagram. He says, the question I have is, does NYDA fund startups getting into manufacturing, in particular metal fabrication, whatever that is? The word fabrication always means something wrong to me, because I think like
yeah, so I mean, the idea has never been, and you can show us you've done your research around access to market. We're really willing to fund you. I'd say right now, the majority of the applications we get are in the retail and the services sector, although we've seen good upticks on agriculture and manufacturing. So we're really keen on new manufacturing businesses. And again, it fits into this kind of thing of localizing our economy, Everything doesn't need to be manufactured in Southeast Asia. I think we have the capacity to manufacture in South Africa. So certainly, we can provide the startup capital for that. I'd love to receive an application. Yeah.
Excellent. In fact, Global Business Connector is a business coach, agrees with you, although he says that there is no shortage of work, it's innovation and the grit that will change the trajectory. But he then asks the question, which I think you have already answered. He says, what is the plan for back home instead of your better?
I do think there is space for government subsidies in manufacturing. So I think that it will take time to get our manufacturing industry up and running. I do think government has a role to subsidize the industry for the next 2 years to ensure we localize more. But I certainly believe we can onshore jobs rather than offshore them in our country. Yeah.
Look, I do not want to be derailed from the Trailblazers campaign. I want to be more celebratory, but because I'm speaking to the CEO of the NYDA, people are asking all sorts of questions about NYDA. I think now that we're here, we should take care of those questions. Lucky Muzi Shoba asked a question about a conversation I had with you 3 or 4 weeks ago. He says, NYDA Tshwane hasn't responded to my COVID-19 relief fund application. It's been a month and a week now, not even an email to say I have failed. I made follow-ups, nothing, no response. Their landline is also not going through. It's not a happy customer there, Waseem.
My apologies for that. So again, please just drop me an email. I'll get customer services to work on the application. There has been an overwhelming amount of applications, but that's not an excuse for not a response. So please just get that back to me, and then I'll be sure to get our customer service team to look into it and respond to it.
I don't know about the next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It's not you tell me whether you can deal with that. Benny says, I have a business plan, but I'm failing with conducting due diligence. Do you help small businesses to conduct due diligence?
So that's an interesting question. So generally, due diligence is done by our organization ourselves. So before we approve any business for funding, a business development officer will have a conversation with you. If you've got a site where you operate from, or an idea of a site you'd like to operate from, they'll accompany you to that site, which will form part of your due diligence. They'll help you work through your business model canvas and understand what your business is about. They'll ask if you've got any customers, if they can talk to those customers. So that's a little bit of the due diligence process that NYDA itself does. We insource that function. We don't really outsource it at this stage. Yeah.
I'm glad Benny now knows that you can do that without him having to worry about it. Please, guys, allow me to go back to Trailblazers. It's just too close to my heart. What happens once we've nominated these guys? The 8th is Monday, is the closing date. We send the nominations. What's the next process after they are nominated and you've picked the Trailblazers? What happens to them? What do they get? A Rolls Royce?
I hear Rolls Royce is laying off workers. So I'm not sure about that. So they'll get a cash prize from the NYDA, and they'll all receive recognition on June 16th as part of the presidency message to the country. Generally, they would sit on the stage at June 16th as the National Day is being commemorated and celebrated. Unfortunately, this year is a little bit different, so we all have to make those sacrifices. But let's hope next year we'll have both the 2020 and the 2021 Trailblazers on the stage with President Ramaphosa.
They will, though, sit on the online stage. It does not stop them from being online and being
I hope so.
on the day. Yeah.
So we're going to try and facilitate that. Yeah.
So do you have a specific number of how many will be chosen?
Not at this stage, but I mean, I don't think anybody should be left out because there's a set number. I think we'll assess the quality of the applications first, and then we'll put an exact number to it. Yeah,
that's super. Look, I think that for me, this part has satisfied my heart. I work a lot with young people, and I just love the energy that I see, the innovation that I see. I love the things that they do that I could never have imagined when I was their age. And I suppose I was throwing stones at other things. My innovation was trying to deal with other issues. So I'm glad that as the NYDA, you've decided to recognize this kind of work. And I hope you continue to do it for many, many years. We will put the website address there, get people to the link, get them quickly to nominate the people they can nominate. I will share your email address with those that have particular problems so that they can get in touch with you. And then hopefully once we have chosen our trailblazers, maybe one or two of them, I can bring them on here and celebrate with them the work that they do.
100%. We look forward to it.
It will be great. But I need to share this text with you. I interviewed a young man here who got fired from doing moonlighting work. He was working for a company and started doing moonlighting work on the side. They fired him. He started his own business and he's completely thriving. He's doing so well now. His name is Nick Tipe. He says, this is a great program now, talking about the Trailblazers, to make a difference. I would like to be part of it. He adds, I would like to empower our youth with skills and employ them in our shops. Now that's amazing. So some of the Trailblazers could begin to work with him, who is himself a trailblazer, a young person who started his own business and doing amazing work.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, it's another thing I've been thinking about as part of this minimum employment guarantee. I think young SMMEs don't always have the capacity or financial resources to be able to employ young people. This gentleman clearly does, but not all of them do, you know. But as part of young people gaining work experience, they could be placed as part of an employment guarantee in SMMEs where they'd learn new skills, where they'd receive a wage. And you know, Rams, I bet if I asked you where you learned most of what you do, you'll say on the job, yeah? As much as we can learn in classrooms and lecture halls, there's nothing like learning on the job, you know? 80% of what you learn is by doing. Yeah? And I think that's a real opportunity. And thanks very much to the gentleman.
You know, I said this last time I spoke to you, and I'm going to say complaint about his application not being responded to. As I speak to you, I can see the response from your office already dealing with this matter. This is super, mate. You guys must continue to do this. This is what I call service. I can see the response from your office right here in front of me.
Great stuff. We're trying. Yeah, we're not perfect, but we're doing our best. Yes.
Well, you know, I believe that they can only be learning from the boss. It can only be, you know, fish rots and gets better from the head, nothing else. Waseem, always beautiful talking to you, mate. I really want to come back to this topic once we pick them up, and let's see how we celebrate them on this platform.
Great. I think you should have a standing slot at the NYDA every month.
I think we should. We're gonna do that. We'll find a way.
I feel really sad when these conversations end, you know. I feel like we could go on.
I know. And yesterday, Freddie decided to end it even sooner than we wanted.
Yeah, you see.
But
Thanks,
my brother, have a great evening and a wonderful weekend. We shall chat soon.
Great stuff. Keep well.
And
keep
to
safe.
everybody else on our platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, thank you for joining us tonight. It was a bonus night. I was supposed to be off tonight. I shall see you back on Monday when we continue with normal programming. Have a great evening from me, Rams Mabote. Good night and God bless.